Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to the Basine Method. This is a free webinar where I explain my published Basine method that helps you to be seen as the expert in whatever field you're in, so you can make more money and a much greater impact as well, because that's what it's all about. But I mainly work with heart-led entrepreneurs and business owners who, once they make more money, they do more good with that money as well. So it is very much an ethical based business. But we'll get going. There we go. So the plan for today is I'll explain why you should bother with PR, why you should PR yourself, what could that achieve, what actually PR is, because so many people get PR confused with advertising and marketing, and they think it's a bit of all of it, or they get it mixed up with promotions. And so I've got a really nice analogy that helps you to place it better in your mind. And then I'll run through my Basine method and explain why it's a little bit different than anyone else that does PR. And how you, by following it, you can really get that impact either for your own personal brand or for your business brand. And then I'll explain a bit about who I am to kind of tell you all of this stuff. And then I'll also give you 6 easy things you can take away and implement today that I guarantee will move that needle on your business straight away as soon as you apply them. It was going to be 5 easy things, but I'm a bit of an overgiver. Um, I ended up thinking of 6. So there we go. So why PR you in your business? Well, so many people that I work with are the experts at what they do. They've done all of the courses, they've got all the qualifications, they've got all the life experiences, so they know their stuff. But quite often they think, oh, they're not the loudest person there. They're not the extrovert. They're a bit more introverted. They're not the big, hi, look at me kind of person. And so quite often they don't get the same recognition. They get less visibility than other people who maybe aren't the true experts at what they do. Maybe they aren't as qualified or as experienced as you. Maybe they're not nice people, but they're out there and they're getting all the recognition and the awards and all the business and all the money just because they're visible. And that can be make or break for people. And my method will help you to be seen, even if you're more of an introvert, because the way my Basine method works, it's not a cookie cutter formula. So it's not the same thing for everyone. It's based on who you are as an individual and your likes and dislikes and your strengths. And we focus in on the strengths that make you you, and we do more of that in your strategy. So it's very much a bespoke strategy. There's so many people out there talk about authentic brands and authentic voice, and that's great. But at the end of the day, if you're cramming that authentic brand and that authentic voice into someone else's cookie cutter strategy, it's not going to work. You need to have a strategy that's authentic to you as well. So that's what I'm going to show you. So what can it achieve? If it's just a personal brand we're looking at and you're an employee, then you can get a promotion or a pay rise. If you run your own business, get newer, bigger clients or projects, you could be invited onto expert panels or stages. You could get more recognition from industry and colleagues, media coverage, obviously, awards. You might even get an honorary degree eventually, or an MBE or an OBE. But all of these things come when you're more visible, because if no one knows who you are, well, how can they then give you an honorary degree or an OBE or whatever? Yeah, they don't know how good you are. So what is PR? So I've got a little analogy that helps people to understand what it is. So um, if you will, imagine two people met online dating. Okay, and they go on a first date, and we'll call him Jack and we'll call her Jane, right? So off they go for a first date. Sorry, now the dog's barking in the background. Um, Off they go on oh shh, shh, it's okay. Shh. Sorry. Um, Off they go on a first date, and if Jack rocks up and goes, "Hi, I'm Jack. Did you see that sports car I pulled up in? That's mine. I paid for it cash. Did you see that massive house you drove past on the way here? The one with the tree-lined driveway and the big fancy gates? That's my house too. And I also have a summer home in the south of France. I regularly hire yachts to go cruising around the Greek islands in the summer. I go to all the best concerts and events. So I was VIP at Glastonbury. Um, Recently, I do all these really cool things. You'll have loads of fun with me. Okay. Now, if he says that to her, he's advertising himself to her. He's listing off all the things he thinks make him more attractive to her. Now, if when he arrives on his date, he was to say, "Oh, hi, I'm Jack. You must be Jane. Oh, your photograph does not do you justice. You are so much more beautiful in real life. I love that hairstyle on you. It really flatters your face shape. I love that colour you're wearing. It really brings out the blue of your eyes. From your smile, I can see you're a warm and caring person. I think we're going to have a great time together tonight." Okay. If he says that to her, he's doing marketing. He's using the language he thinks she wants to hear him say, and he's saying the exact things he thinks she wants to hear him say. Okay, so that is marketing. If on that date she nips off to the toilet and in there's another girl putting some lippy on in the mirror, and when she goes in, the other girl goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're here on a date with Jack. Oh, he's the nicest guy. I was at school with him. I know all of his friends. I know his family. All wonderful. He was he was top of his class in all his subjects. He was captain of the football team. He's just one of the nicest guys. He was always helping everyone out and giving advice. And he already always did like sponsored runs and sponsored events to raise funds for charities. Um, he honestly, you're so lucky to be on a date with him. Now, if that happens, that is PR. It's just someone else endorsing you. And it's so much more valuable than advertising or marketing is. And that's all PR is. So the standard definition of PR is usually it's public relations. So it's all those relationships with your public. But I like to think of PR as being personal relationships. So it's all managing all those relationships with your customers, your clients, your suppliers, your employees, businesses that are similar to your business, but um, maybe aren't direct competitors, um, or everything that surrounds your business, obviously including the media as well. Um, but it's communication on a wider scale to all of the people and the stakeholders around your business. So it includes things like asking people to leave you a recommendation or a review, to tag a friend if they loved the last thing that you did. All of these things fall under PR. Okay, so now we'll move on to the Basim method. So, unlike most PRs, most PRs will just do the scene part of my Basim method, but mine is quite unique because we start with the B part, which is the letter B. It stands for begin. So we begin with the vision that you want to achieve. Now, that vision might be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. However that feels most comfortable to you, that's what we look at. So think about, what is the end vision you want to have? What does that look like? What does that feel like for you? Okay. And in that future vision, who is it that you are working with? Who is that future ideal client, and what exactly are you doing for them? Because it might be that at the moment you're doing a lot of one-to-one work, and in your future you stood on big stages speaking. I don't know. Think about what that vision is for you in the future. What do you want? What do you see yourself doing? Who are you with? What does your average day look like? What about it lights you up and sets your soul on fire? Okay, think about all of this. And yes, if you work with any sales coaches, they'll want to know what your income goals are, and that's fine. But I like to get you to think about how you want to feel, and how does it feel working with the clients that you're working with in that ideal future, and what are you doing for them that you love so much. Okay, so really nail that down and think about that. And also think about your brand values and what reputation in this future you, in this future vision, what do you want people to say about you and think about you, and what is the reputation that you want to have in this future vision? Now, if you've worked with any sales coaches before, you'll be very used to them talking to you about what income goals do you want, and who is your ideal client, okay? But your ideal client that you'll map out for sales or even marketing is always your ideal client today. So who are you selling stuff to today? So today, tomorrow, maybe next week. Um, who is it today? Okay. But if you do your PR around your ideal client today, the ideal client you use for your sales, well, that will just keep you stuck where you are, because your PR is like your lighthouse or your homing beacon that's going to guide in the future vision. So you're guiding in your future ideal client when you do your PR. You're not guiding in your your ideal client today that you're selling to. It's this future vision ideal client. That's who you want to aim for with your PR, because your PR is guiding in the future for what you want. So you're almost future casting. That's what you're doing with PR. So it's really important to be quite clear on what that vision looks like for you, because then we can try and make it happen. And make a map to the future you as well. So, for instance, the future you might be stood on a massive stage speaking to thousands of people, and that at the moment might absolutely terrify you. And you might think, oh God, I don't have the confidence to do that. I don't have the skills to do that. So, in which case, it might be that you need to get those skills and build up that confidence slowly in order to get to that end vision. It might be that I had a client, for instance, who said, Sarah, oh my God, I really want in 5 years' time to be teaching my expert subject at university. So I said, right, great. Well, we need to map how you're going to get there. And one of those things is actually you need to get a master's degree in your subject in order to teach at university. So think about the things. It might be that you're already that expert, you've already got all of the qualifications and training and things that you need in place in order to be that future you. But it's great to just check that you've got all of those things in place. Okay. The other thing, if you're struggling with this future vision of yours and you're not quite sure about who that ideal client is in the future vision or anything like that, that's something that I work with clients on on a one-to-one basis in a be seen day. So I will sit down with a client and get them to describe to me their future vision. What do you see in the future? Get them to describe it to me, what it looks like, what it feels like. And quite often, I can see what they're describing to me in my own mind, and I can also often see what they're not describing to me or what they're not telling me, and sometimes what they might not even be conscious of, that it's in their subconscious, but I can see it. So then I can set a prompt them and say, "Oh, what about this?" Or I see this slightly differently. How does that sit with you? And they go, oh my God, yes, that's it. So I worked with a client recently in a Basine day, and she said, right, Sarah, I've done all your free trainings and I've mapped it all out and I've filled the questionnaires in. And so this is it. This is it. This is my ideal client. All mapped out. It's low ticket membership, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, right, we need to start at the beginning. Describe to me this vision. And so she described me this vision of how she felt, how she was living somewhere tropical and going scuba diving every day and only doing 1 or 2 hours amount of work and all of this. And it was low ticket membership. And I was like, really? You're gonna do that with a low ticket membership? I said, that's not what I see. And she's like, what do you see? And I went, well, you say you don't want to do one-to-one anymore, but I can see you doing one-to-one. You're going to do one-to-one, but really high ticket one-to-one, where you're like flown in on a private jet to stay in someone's villa for a week and treat them one-to-one, and then you fly back. And she's like, oh my God, yes. Yes, I can see it now. She said, yeah, that's because the low ticket membership isn't going to pull the money in that I need to have the lifestyle. Yes, I'd still have a low ticket membership, but I need to do one-to-one, but high level one-to-one. It's like, yep. And so then her ideal client changed. So, and I've worked with clients who have felt disconnected from what they thought their plan was and their business plan. So when they went to networking events, they didn't feel confident enough to talk about it and thought that it was missing something. And what it was is their ideal business that would bring in the money that they'd been trained on the business model of and everything wasn't in alignment with who they were and their like ethics and their soul and everything. And so previously, before they started their own business, they'd been in the care industry, and whilst they didn't earn a lot of money from it, it checked all the boxes in terms of them giving back, and that's where how they wanted to feel. And the new business they designed, even though it was making lots of money, it wasn't they weren't helping anyone, and it wasn't feeling good for her. And so that's why she wasn't confident talking about it at networking events and things like that, because it wasn't lighting her soul up, it wasn't setting her soul on fire. So then I worked to align that with her soul and what she actually really wanted and what lit her up and her passion and her purpose. And so we tweaked it and adjusted it so that then it was using her expertise, but also in alignment with giving back and helping people and everything. And so now she feels aligned again. And so I do that as well. So it's really important that it's aligned with you as well as with your business. So I do quite a lot of work with clients who say, well, look, I want to grow my business to this size. And I'm like, well, yeah, but what do you also want personally? Oh, but I just want to grow my business to this size. And one of the guys that I worked with, um, he was like, no, and I was like, no, but what do you want personally? He's like, no, I just want to grow my business, blah, 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 blah. But I could see in my mind's eye him on a television screen. And so I just said to him, I said, have you ever had any ambition to be in the media at all? And he just stopped and looked at me. And I said, like, for example, maybe on television? And he was like, oh my God. He said, how weird that you should say that. And I was like, yeah, how weird. Um, because I don't tell all my corporate people that I'm also a little bit psychic. So I was like, yeah, how weird. And he said, well, it's kind of weird because I trained as an actor originally, and it's always been my dream to be on television. That's been my lifetime ambition to be on TV. And so I said, well, what we can do is we can align what you're doing for your business so you get your personal goal as well. So you can be eventually in 2 to 3 years, you could maybe be an expert on the television talking about your expert subjects, and we can help you get there in alignment with your business because you can create a YouTube channel for your business where you're presenting on camera on your expert subject as you're doing your day to day. And then you can build up this big portfolio of work that will then help you to secure a job on TV as an expert. He was like, oh my God, that's genius. And I went, yeah, but how much more enthusiastic and passionate are you going to be about delivering that marketing strategy for your business now? Because you can see how it's going to get you to what you want personally as well. And that's what I'm good at doing, aligning the two together. Um, so the next step of my ABC method. So once you've done that bit, you've looked at the vision, we now evaluate. So who is this ideal client that you in the future you are working with? And who are the right people who know them and can influence them? And also where are the right spaces and places that you need to show up in order to meet them, but also people who know them. What communities are they in? What networking groups are they members of? Are they members of a particular membership? Are they in an industry association? Um, think about all of this. If it's a corporate contract you want to win, then who are the decision makers within those firms? What media do they read? How could you influence them with the media? What do they read? What do they listen? What podcasts do they listen to? What kind of things do they watch on TV? I had someone go, oh, well, I can't afford television advertising. And I said, remember, we're not advertising here, we're doing PR. And by knowing what kind of things they watch on telly, you can echo that in your social media. You can also watch those programs and you can be talking about it. And it's a conversation starter when you're at an event with them as well. So think about all of these things. What does their world look like? Do they have hobbies? Are they a member of a local gym? Do they play tennis? Do they play golf? I'm not saying for a minute that you need to go and start playing golf if you absolutely hate golf, but look at what they like, and there'll be certain things that are in alignment with you and align with your values or your interests, and that's what we can focus in on. So do a bit of research, not just the ideal client but the people who know them, because ideally we want then your ideal client when they're with a friend or a colleague or in a networking group and say to this friend or colleague, oh, I need some help with XYZ, which happens to be what you're an expert in. And this person that they're chatting to goes, oh, guess what? You need to speak to Sarah. Sarah can help you with that. Drop her a line. Here's the details. She's brilliant. Okay. So it's helping other people to do the work for you as well. So write a bit of a plan. Have a think about what networking rooms you need to go to pop into some of these people. Are these influencers, so the people who can influence your dream client and your ideal client, are they sitting on any expert panels soon? Can you sit alongside them? There's no easier way to be seen as an equal expert to your ideal client than to be sat alongside them or someone who can influence them on an expert panel. Because immediately they see you as an equal expert to themselves straight away, even if you're not. they'll see you as equal to them, which is brilliant. It's so valuable. It's like brand alignment strategies, but on a personal level. And I've done it with for international airlines and all sorts of different people, and it works. I promise you. Um, so and at the end of the day, people are only people. You might think, oh God, he seems to know everyone. He's so well connected. Just see if you can go out and buy him a coffee and have a chat. You know, at the end of the day, the people, they might be able to give you some advice or introduce you to someone or whatever. And start reading and listening to and watching the target media that you think this dream client are interested in. So the more you know about, if you want to be featured in your local newspaper, the more you read it, the more you'll learn about the topics they write about, is that if there's key themes, which journalists tend to write about what subjects, and therefore you'll learn easily what stories they're looking for and how you can pitch those in. Um, Look at awards, and it might be not even necessarily looking at awards just so you've won another award, but it could be looking at awards that this influencer is on the judging panel for, because then they'll know who you are if they're having to judge your award entry. Or it could be a company that's sponsoring awards, and you think, do you know what? I'd really love them to sponsor my event. Well, by entering those awards and going along to those awards, if they're sponsoring those awards, the odds are they're going to be in that room at the award ceremony. So you can network with them or people who know them and meet them that way. So think about it from a strategic perspective. Where do you need to be? What stages might you need to speak on so that people in the room can hear you and then recommend you to other people? So have a little think, and look at the news angles as well. Start thinking about that, and look at start following people on social media who can influence your ideal client, or and follow the ideal client on social media so you can see what they're up to, and you'll see them what rooms they're going into, what events they're attending, what are they talking about, because that will give you a clue then about where you need to be and what maybe you need to be talking about as well for them to listen. Okay, so before we go on to the scene part, the story, there's another section of the E, the evaluate, that I always do with clients. And this is we evaluate your own strengths. So we look at your personal strengths. What do you enjoy doing? What do you absolutely hate doing? What what would you quite happily do every single day because you love it that much? But and what would you do because someone tells you to do it, but you'd actually rather stick pins in your own eyes than do it? Okay, so that then we can craft the strategy to suit you. So if you are someone who can't think of anything worse than standing on stage and speaking in front of people, and you really, really don't want to do it, then don't do it. There's another way to do things. We can get you as a guest on podcasts. We can do online things. We can do guest blogging and posts and stories in the media that don't involve you having to stand on a stage. If you hate big groups and it terrifies you, some of the big events that happen that are 100+ people, and you think, oh my God, I can't stand that number of people and the noise in the room. And well, then we'll put you in smaller rooms in smaller networking. We'll do some of the high-end bespoke dinner networking where you just sat around a table with 9 other people. We'll craft it to suit you so that every day feels exciting and enthusiastic, because then your energy is positive and it's going in the right direction, and then you'll hit those goals far quicker if you're enjoying it. And life's too short to do something that you hate anyway, so why don't we do something that you love? So the story is the S in the scene, and now this scene is what most PRs will just do with you. They don't do the B bit, they just do the scene bit. So we look now at stories, and we look at one that connects, inspires, and empowers. these influencers who can influence your ideal client. So this is what we're looking at. And so many people and clients that I work with and people I speak to say, oh, they either say one of two things actually. They either say, oh God, I'm so boring. I have nothing interesting about me. I have no stories whatsoever. Or they're in camp number two. They have one almighty whopper of a story that is like amazing, that's like a legacy story, and that they can get national press coverage for it, they can write a book about it, and all of this. And they go, I've just got the one story, and that's it. There's nothing else. And I go, yeah, I think there is. Because every single person has got at least half a dozen interesting stories that are media friendly that we can go to media with. So I have a story mapping process that literally pulls those stories out of people. And it's dead easy, dead interactive, and it will pull the stories out of people. But yeah, everyone's got at least 6 there. Okay. And it's really important that we choose a story that will align and resonate with the target audience, those influencers and the media the best. And a story that maybe connects to what's also happening in the world today. So you might have a story about some new law that's come out, or a story that's connected to a news story that's being talked about, or some, God forbid, some disaster that's happened and you've got an experience related to that. Or it could be that you've got a very seasonal story, so that connects to Christmas or particular weather occurring or whatever. So it could link to that. And therefore, actually, you could probably repurpose that story every single year and do it again, but just spin it a different way. And I've got a technique that teaches you how to do that. Um, and also, then there might be a story that's really newsworthy. So it might be a big anniversary for your business. You might win an award. You might get an MBE or an OBE. You might have launched a revolutionary product that changes people's lives. There might be something that is genuinely newsworthy that is a news story in its own right. Okay. And it's really important that we tell these stories in a really concise way, because media don't like people who just waffle. So we really need to summarize the story in one line, um, so that when they read it, they go, oh my God, and they click and open your email, number one. So the subject field of your email needs to be a little bit clickbaity, so they want to open it. And then the first couple of lines of your email need to tell them why this story is interesting, why it suits them and their audience, and why the hell should they care? In like 2 lines. And then you can put all the other stuff underneath, but we need to get their attention and them on that hook to then read down and get them more information. And at the end of the day, people remember the stories. They remember how you made them feel much, much more than just a slogan. And this is the danger that so many people out there now think, oh, I can do PR. I can do my own PR release. I've got ChatGPT. ChatGPT is great at writing sales pages and social media posts because they're quite salesy. It's not very good at writing press releases because the media don't want salesy. The media don't want, hey, this was the greatest event in the whole wide world as the headline, because they'll call bullshit on you because, well, it's not, is it? No matter how great your event is, unless your event is like Glastonbury or something like that, then maybe that headline might work. But the media don't like you telling them what that headline should be. They like to come up with that themselves. So it's trying to do it in a way that media will like. And I've got methods for that as well. And then the E in the scene part is expectation. So many clients that I work with go, I had loads of media coverage in the national papers for about a month. It was me, 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 me everywhere, my business. And I didn't really have any impact. PR doesn't work. Didn't do anything. And it's because they had no call to action, no clear call to action. So what do you want that person who's reading, watching, or listening to your story to do when they finish watching, listening, or reading it? What do you want them to do next? Do you want them to buy your thing? Do you want them to follow you on social media? Do you want them to vote for your campaign? Do you want them to buy a ticket for your event? Do you want them to go to your website to get a free gift of something? What exactly do you want them to do? You have to tell them within your story and direct them to that, because otherwise they'll read it and they'll go, "Oh, that's a nice story," and then forget about it. Nothing will happen. Okay. And it's really important as well to be consistent with your stories. So again, I worked with a client, well, didn't work with her. I spoke to a potential client who was all over the press, had loads of national press coverage for 1 month because she invested in a PR for 1 month and she got all this press coverage, blah, 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 blah. And I spoke to her, I said, "Oh, great." I said, "So what are you going to do to keep the consistency up now?" And she went, "What? Well, I've had all the press coverage. Don't need to do anything else." I went, "You do. You need to keep the consistency now and the momentum. And you need to." And she's had zero press coverage in a year since that big hit wonder. And she's just decided to launch another business because that other one didn't work. And I was like, but you needed to run with the momentum. You needed to take that and run with it. Because PR isn't a one-hit wonder. It's not, whoa, got one bit of coverage. My business will run forever now. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to be consistent. So really, really important to have a clear call to action. And then the execution as well. Take the action. So many people I speak to go, "Yeah, I kind of did this story and thought it was really good for media. And then I emailed this journalist and they didn't come back to me." And that's it. I'm like, well, like just like in sales, if you've anyone's ever done sales coaching or sales training, in sales, you have to follow up 6 or 7 times before that client says yes. And it's exactly the same in PR because you are selling a story into that media or that journalist. So they ain't going to say yes and come back to you and bite your hand off on the first try, unless it's like, "Oh, Princess Diana has come back from the grave," then they're going to bite your hand off. So unless it's a massive, massive story, they're not going to bite your hand off straight away. You need to chase up and follow up. And I've got different ways to do that in a nice way. So the N of the be seen method is it was going to be nag and nag again because I quite often wonder about changing my job title instead of PR expert to nagging queen because I have to nag and chase and nag and chase. And that's what I do the majority of the time. But I changed it to never give up. And you have to constantly reevaluate and revive things and spin things. So, you can have one story and it doesn't quite land. And then something might happen in the world, and you think, "Oh, actually, do you know what? That story could fit with that." And so you just spin it around and pop it back out. And then all of a sudden it gets picked up because it's in alignment with something else. So there's ways you can reevaluate and rejig and respin an old story, make it new, and also reinvigorate a story that worked last year and do it again this year, but just make it feel fresh and different. So there's lots of different ways you can do that. So just to recap my be seen method. So we begin with this vision and the ideal future client, which is So we can build this homing beacon lighthouse that guides them in. Okay. Then we evaluate the right spaces, places, and places we need to be. So where do we need to be? And featured in, spoken about, what stages we need to be on all of this, and who are these influencers who can influence our end dream clients? And more importantly, who are we? What do we enjoy doing? What sets our soul on fire? What do we hate doing and we really don't want to do again? And then we craft that so it suits us. Okay. And we can get to that end goal. I quite often, when salespeople work with clients, quite often they will say to people, if you don't have this sales goal or target, then and the destination, then how do you know how to get there? It's like getting in your car and putting anywhere in your sat nav. Okay, you don't know where you're going. Well, for me, it's the step before that. So you're still at home and you put in your destination into Google Maps. Okay, and Google Maps says, how do you want to get there? Do you want to go? Do you want to drive? Do you want to walk? Do you want to get the train? Do you want to get the plane? Do you want the scenic route? Do you want to stop off along the way? Do you want to go the fast route? Do you want to go the sustainable route? Which route do you want to go? And that's the way that I work with clients. So we analyze where you're up to. So I've worked with clients before who've said, my ideal end vision, I'm stood on massive stages, speaking to thousands of people. But that thought terrifies the hell out of me today. I can't do it now. And you need to build me up to it slowly, Sarah. I need to have a speaking coach. I need to start on smaller stages and slowly work my way up. Gently, gently. Great, I can do that. We can sort that strategy out for you so you can get there, but we'll do the scenic route. Or it might be someone who just goes, Sarah, I just want to get there as fast and as quickly as I can. Put everything in. I'm going to go there the quickest, fastest route. Or it could be someone who says, you know what? This is my side hustle. I've got a full-time job. I'm just doing this on the side. I haven't got time to go full pelt. So can we just go the gentle, slightly slower route? I'm like, brilliant. So we align it to who you are and what does your world look like? Because it needs to fit around you. And then the story, obviously one that connects, inspires, and empowers. And you should have a nice cluster that you can pick from. And the expectation. So what do you want to happen when they've read, watched, heard your story? And then the execution is really important. Just take the action. If it's wrong, it's fine. You can go again. Okay. And then never give up. Constantly reevaluate, and go again. Okay, so there's lots of barriers, confidence, people say, mindset, time. Well, I can fit that into anyone's diary. You can even just have the bottom of your email signature. If you've enjoyed working with me, please leave me a review here, and then a Google My Business link for your review, or a LinkedIn recommendation link, or whatever, and you can have it on the bottom of all your emails. So that saves you time. There's ways and means I can build that in to your day so that you don't even notice you're doing it, but you're doing PR every single day. Loads of people say they've not got the knowledge. Well, everything's on YouTube these days. Some people say, oh, I'm not sure I feel the confidence saying I'm the expert at what I do, because there are other people who are also experts at what I do. Well, think of the room you're going into. Are you more of an expert in your subject than everyone else in that room? If you are, then you can confidently say you're that expert. So just work on yourself in that respect. And at the end of the day, I'm also NLP trained. So if you need help getting that confidence or mindset, then I can work with you to do that. So, who am I telling you all of this and making all of this stuff up? So I have been a PR marketing expert for 25 years. I've worked with massive airlines, big sporting events, big cultural events. I recently did the PR for Womanifest. Um, I've done theatre shows, hospitality, luxury hotels, bars, restaurant launches, fashion week. all sorts of different things, visitor attractions, um, landscape gardeners. I've launched gardens at RHS Tatton, so I've done all sorts of different things. I'm also a luxury travel specialist. So during lockdown, when my entire PR business was wiped out, I wrote courses for Manchester Metropolitan University Business School. That's when I discovered I can teach people to do what I do. And I also retrained as a luxury travel agent so I could keep my hand in the travel industry. And so now I still have a luxury travel concierge business that runs alongside what I do, but it also enables me to mentor and coach people who are travel agents, run travel agent businesses, because I understand both sides of the business now. Well, actually, all three sides of the business, because I also understand how airlines work. So it gives me a unique perspective. There's no other travel PRs that understand how to operate as a travel agent or how to operate as an airline, but I do. So it gives me the edge. Um, and so I'm also an advocate for life after child loss. And I speak on stages about that to give people hope that at the end of the day, you know, there isn't any such day as one day and someday. And so many of us say, one day we're going to do this as a family. Someday, I'll invest in PR when I win that award or I get that bigger client. Well, actually, do you know what? Just do it now. Because if you start PR off, even doing it yourself at the start of your business, you'll get to that end goal far, far quicker than you will if you keep putting it off and procrastinating. The same goes for life experiences. You don't know what tomorrow will bring. So if you really say, one day we want to go take the kids to Disney, someday we're going to go to Lapland, just do it. Put a date in the diary, put a deposit down, put the intention out to the universe. The universe doesn't understand one day and someday because they aren't days of the week. So stop saying it, just do it. And that's the main message at the end of all of my talks. Um, I just implore people to just do it now. Stop putting it off. Okay. Um, so they're my 6 easy things you can implement now when you log off this that will move the needle on your business. I can promise you. Okay, so number 1, update your LinkedIn profile. Make sure it says exactly how you make that difference. Why are you that expert? In that opening line. Don't have a generic job title in your opening line of LinkedIn. Make sure it says why you make that difference. Okay. And shout about all your achievements. So if you get a new qualification, if you win an award, even if you just get shortlisted for an award, shout about it. Make sure everyone knows. Even if the qualification is just, oh, Sarah, I've just updated my health and safety certificate. I hardly need to shout about it. Well, actually, if you do, it shows your audience and the people on those platforms that you care about continuous development. And so that will make you stand out above and beyond someone else who also does what you do, who doesn't shout about the new qualifications and the new updates they've got. So you need to think about what makes you a bigger expert than everyone else and make sure that's up front. So I worked with a client in a one-to-one and she had her job is now quite a trendy thing to be. So I'm not going to give it away and say what she does, but it's quite a trendy thing. There's loads of people doing this out there, loads and loads. Only difference being that she's done it for 20 years and she's got 2 master's degrees in it and she's helped tons of people to do it. And she's like, Sarah, LinkedIn doesn't work for me because she's just got what like a job title is in the LinkedIn thing. And I said, but if you search for that, you get hundreds of you that come up of different people who all do the same thing. The thing that makes you the expert needs to be up front. You've you've got 20 years experience doing it and you've got 2 master's degrees. That needs to be in the opening line. So now it is, and boom, within 24 hours, she had 2 inquiries of new clients that had searched for her, found her, booked her because she's highlighting why she's a bigger expert than everyone else that does it. Make sure you are doing the same. Blow your own trumpet. Right. Identify the target media that your ideal client will read, watch, listen to, and start digesting them now so you get a feel for the stories and things they're writing about, okay? If it's an online publication, share some of the stories that resonate, because that will connect you then as also with your ideal clients and those that can influence them, because they will like that you've shared that, because they'll find it interesting. Reach out to those influencers you identified who know your ideal client and invite them for a coffee and a chat to ask their advice. They can only say no, so it's worth a try. And ask clients that you've helped to recommend you on LinkedIn. If they've attended one of your events before, get them to write a LinkedIn recommendation about the event. Um, if you've got a Google My Business page, get them to leave you a Google My Business review. Nothing boosts your SEO better than Google My Business reviews. Top tip. And get out networking and meeting people. So don't procrastinate on, oh, I don't know if it's the right place to meet the influencer that can go to my ideal client, and procrastinate on what I spoke about. If you're not sure, just go along and see. I'll go along. What kind of people are there? Does the energy feel right in the room? Do you feel comfortable there? Do you feel really uncomfortable? Go and see. Most networking organizations let you go once or twice before you become a member. So go and try them out. If it doesn't work, just say, I'm really sorry, it's not for me at the moment. They don't mind. They want the right people in the rooms. Okay. So whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're absolutely correct. I love that saying from Henry Ford. Henry Ford, I don't know if you know about him, but he basically didn't really know a lot. He's supposedly not very well educated, and his he had a vision, and his main skill was, because he was aware that he didn't know everything about everything. He knew he could, as long as he employed the right people and the right experts, and that's what he did. So he had the right experts that were experts in things that he didn't know how to do. And he knew he had this big dream that he could do it. So he did it. Okay. So what I would like to ask you to do is, I've got various different ways that people can work with me. So I've got the Global Visibility Club, whereby I guide people and handhold them to help them to do their own PR. It's a really welcoming, lovely community of a lot of heart-led entrepreneurs who are trying to do their own PR. And the membership of the club gives you access to all of my Be Seen trainings. So you can get up to speed and learn on different things. I've got the final N of the Be Seen method training tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Which will teach you how to respin a story and reinvigorate it to go out to media with it again, and how to repurpose things. But my Global Visibility Club gives you weekly accountability sessions. We do a monthly deep dive into a particular subject. So last month was how you can get speaker opportunities and work on speaker bios. So I gave everyone a template they could drop their information into, to go out to get that speaker opportunity. I regularly speak to conference and event organizers about my bigger clients. And so when I'm speaking to them, quite often they'll go, brilliant, who else have you got? And I can go, da-da, I've got all these people who are in my membership. And one big conference venue recently said, Sarah, we're actually creating our own speaker database of people. And would you like us to upload all your clients into there? Yes, please. So all my clients from the Global Visibility Club, as well as my bigger clients, are all going to be uploaded into their speaker database. So when they have big events and conferences coming to them and say, "Have you got anyone you can recommend as a speaker on this subject?" They can just search their database and recommend someone. So I also have lots of communications and chats to journalists and editors, again about my bigger clients, but quite often they'll go, who else have you got? What other stories have you got that are interesting? And I'll tell them about the members of my Global Visibility Club. My club has only been open for just over a month. And one of the members, I had a chat with a journalist that basically said, oh, you haven't got any clients who have a story that connects with something that happened in the summer, do you? And one of my members does. And I said, yeah, actually, I do. This guy called Ben. Anyway, Ben's only having a photo shoot with the Telegraph tomorrow and an interview with the Telegraph, and he's going to be featured in the Telegraph from my membership, which I'm really thrilled about. So people are getting quick wins because I'm very bespoke. So some PR memberships out there that you might join will say, oh, we'll drop in journalist requests into a Facebook group or WhatsApp community, and then all the members are jumping on, and there's a bit of a free for all, trying to contact the journalists to get the coverage. And some people get all of the coverage because they're first on to jump on and send the story in, or they're used to pitching and they get the story. I don't work like that. So I see all the journalist requests coming in, and I look at them and I go, oh, who would that suit? And then I just send it to that individual, like I did with Ben, and go, actually, a journalist is looking for this and you'd be perfect. Or this one might be perfect for you. Do you want me to put you forward? Or do you want their details and you can speak to them yourself? So these are all benefits of being within my membership. And my Visibility Club membership starts from £77 a month. So Ben is now going to be in the Telegraph after spending £77 with me. So it's an absolute bargain. But there are other ways to work with me. So I do one-to-one be seen days where we map out your entire strategy, and I do the visioning bit and everything for you in a day. And you go away with a full strategy, your call to action, all your messaging and wording and everything all done for you. So you're all ready to rock and roll, and you do it all in a day. So I've got that option. And then I've got one-to-one options, done for you options. So yeah, I employ you to just scan this, book a call, and we can see what would suit you best. I also have free stuff as well, and courses and other things. So if you want to book a call in with me and we can have a chat and check which option would suit you best on what you want to achieve. And we can do that, no worries. So feel free to scan that code and book that call in. Does anyone have any questions about any of that? I appreciate it's a lot of information, so let me know if you've got any questions. You can unmute or pop a comment in the chat if you've got any questions or anything that you want to ask. That would be fine. If someone's putting something in the chat. But yeah, I work with all sorts of different clients. I work with people with airlines, with big sporting events, gardeners, uh, manufacturing, supply companies, events. So I work with a really high-end luxury event planner who has done all the big celebrity weddings and exhibitions and conferences all over the world. And I get her on paid stages. Um, I do lots and lots of different types of clients in different industries. I like to shake things up and keep things interesting. Um, so if you do have any questions and you want to reach out to me and ask on a call, then feel free to do that, or message me in social media and feel free to ask me any questions you might have. My door is an inbox is always open. Thank you very much for joining me this evening.